every morning with drive. Being on the grind, know I had to survive. We had to win. Started from the dirt and the rubble. I had to be the needle that was popping your bubble.
Hello and welcome into the Rookie Prospect Profile Series. This is a Zilla Fantasy Elite production. Today we're going to be looking at running back Alfonzo Graham. Alfonzo Graham was actually undrafted in the 2023 NFL Draft, but he does find himself now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Alfonzo Graham does come to us out of Morgan State. That would be the Bears for those of you unaware of the Morgan State football team. Looking at some of the physical traits for Mr. Alfonzo Graham, we can see that he comes in at 5'9", 195 pounds. That gives us a BMI of 28.8. Came in with a 40 time of 4.57, giving us an overall speed score of 89.4, which is one of the worst ones in the 2023 class. Putting these physical traits along with some of their college numbers into the RStudio model, we do get a prospect score of 11.135, which ranks 223rd overall out of the 310 running backs in the RStudio model's database. Shifting over to see who are the closest comparables to Alfonzo Graham's prospect score, we can see that the next closest better than him are Peyton Barber, Dan Herron, Myles Gaskin, CJ Anderson, and Kyrie Robinson. The five closest below are Joe Banyard, Lorenzo Taliaferro, Benny Cunningham, Dontrell Hilliard, and Travis Homer. Really the only people of note here are CJ Anderson and Myles Gaskin. All the rest of them are pretty poor players there, and Gaskin really probably the most similar in stature there at 195 pounds, but wouldn't expect him to produce in that particular range. The Steelers, running back room is pretty wide open. They just have the undrafted free agent last year, which was Jaylen Warren, along with Najee Harris there. So Alfonzo Graham could find himself carving out some sort of role there. He isn't that big, though, at 195 pounds. I don't know if you get a lot of volume from him, but that remains to be seen. Switching now over to the machine learning model, it gets a little interesting for Alfonzo Graham, as the machine learning model liked him a lot better than the RStudio regression model. We can see that Alfonzo Graham comes in with a mean of 12.28, a median prediction of 12.19, their minimum prediction at 8.18, and then their maximum prediction at 17.30. Their percentile outcomes, 10th, 25th, 75th, and 90th percentiles, coming in at 9.64, 10.95, 13.74, and 15.05 respectively, with that M50 gap of 2.78. Again, these numbers are in terms of a career best fantasy points per game season for the particular prospect. So that's the context behind the numbers. And what can we expect kind of from a prospect, or where are those ranges? So at 12.2 there for the median, what is that in terms of historical context? Typically, that's going to be in your low-end RB2 range, high-end RB3 range in terms of the 12.3 points. Historical comps, though, 12, Tavon Austin, Javonte Williams at 12.05. Travis Etienne, 12.06, Nyheim Hines, 12.08, Mike Tolbert, 12.14. Those are all a little bit less. And then getting into the next range, I guess Rashad Penny, 12.17 is his career best. And then getting into the 12.3 to 12.5 range, you're all looking at Joseph Randle, Devin Singletary, Bilal Powell, Raheem Mostert, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, Jonathan Stewart, and Jonathan Grimes. All of their best seasons we're right in that 12.3 to 12.5 range. What does that maximum output look like? 17.3. Well, that is pretty good in terms of the prospect score. As we'll see later on, that is the 10th best maximum output in this class, but 17.3. We'll just go over a range from 16.8 to 17.3, starting with Shane Vereen, then getting to Ryan Matthews, Trent Richardson, Eddie Lacy, Reggie Bush, Deion Lewis, and James White, all between 16.8 and 17.3. Getting a little bit above that, we start getting spread out a little bit more because we're reaching top 45, top 40 prospects here, but Nick Chubb at 17.31, Mark Ingram, David Montgomery, Najee Harris, James Robinson, and Joe Mixon all round out the rest of the group in between 17.4 and 18 fantasy points per game. Actually, Joe Mixon at 17.99, but that is their career best fantasy points per game in a season. That's what you can kind of expect according to the machine learning model for Alfonzo Graham should he get 80 opportunities in a season. Not looking likely considering he fell on Pittsburgh and he's an undrafted free agent. Although we did see Jaylen Warren last year in the same team provide us with at least 80 opportunities in a season. So not out of the realm of question, especially if there's an injury there and he shows out well in the preseason. As I alluded to before, 10th best in the maximum rank. Let's take a peek at those ranks for Alfonzo Graham and see where he stacks up to the rest of the 2023 class. Looking at the mean and median there, he's top 10 at number 10 overall for both, as well as that max rank being 10th. Minimum rank is actually the 6th best in the entire class at 8.18. Pretty impressive there. And then getting into the percentile ranks, 11th, 10th, 9th, and 9th for the 10th, 25th, 75th, and 90th percentile outcomes for Alfonzo Graham. And then he had the 23rd best M50 gap. So it is predicting a rather large or more variety in terms of what he could be, more extremes on one end or the other. Even though he does have one of the best minimum things, his maximum is kind of up there, and he is pretty spread across the entire range of potential outcomes there for Alfonzo Graham, which is why he's got that 23rd best M50 gap and the absolute value at 2.78. So he has spread out a little bit more just because he's an undrafted free agent, but everything else the machine learning model does like about his particular profile. Again, we know some of the quote unquote biases that it has towards these smaller players, but we have seen lots and lots of smaller players produce when given 80 opportunities in a season. They're all sitting in the, well, not all, but 40% roughly achieve at least 14 fantasy points per game in a season during their career should they ever get 80 opportunities during their career. So pretty impressive hit rate for those smaller backs that are less than 196 pounds, which Alfonzo Graham is. Anyway, hopefully the RStudio model and this machine learning model give you a little bit more information to make those correct decisions when it comes to draft time here, giving you that additional bit of confidence in the analysis that you're doing for all these rookies to make that correct pick. That's going to do it for today's rookie prospect profile on Alfonzo Graham. This is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate the time. Thanks. Bye.
Whole crew on top, really we on top. Wake up every morning with drive. Been on the grind, know I had to survive. We had to win. Started